Next up at UFC 316, we have Khaos Williams taking on Andreas Gustafsson. This is a new matchup. Khaos Williams was on this card, ready to go, lost his opponent. Had two opponents, lost them both. Andreas Gustafsson was supposed to fight at UFC Vegas 107, lost his opponent at the weigh-ins, Trevin Giles. Did some shuffling. Andreas didn't wait for the promotion. He called out Khaos. He said, I know Khaos doesn't have an opponent next week. I'll fight him. Very manly move. Also a little bit dangerous because of who Khaos is. Khaos Williams, 15-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5 years, coming off that submission loss to Bonfim. He's taking on Andreas Gustafsson, 11-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is making his UFC debut after 2 other failed debut attempts. We already know who Khaos Williams is. We've seen him a bunch of times. He's fun to watch. He's never in a boring fight. He walks people down. He's got a good amount of power. He's got a bunch of low kicks as well. He'll use those low kicks to try to slow you down, take out the legs a little bit, and then he'll come up top and look for the knockout. He's got power. He is pretty durable, and he's always live for a knockout. He's coming off that submission loss to Gabriel Bonfim, where he was just really bombing away and headhunting. He's taking on Andreas Gustafsson. Andreas Gustafsson is a grappler. He's going to move forward. He's going to throw heat, try to back you up to the cage, and then shoot some takedowns. He does have some very real power, though. He's not a jiu-jitsu nerd. He is going to dictate if the fight gets to the ground. He's going to bomb away, and he is going to land big shots. He is not the cleanest guy in the world, but the reality is he's got power, he's got takedowns, he's got submissions. This is going to be an interesting fight because it's a brand new matchup. It's not a shuffling of the card like we had last week. Andreas moved entire cards. And this is very similar to the breakdown I did when we talked about what's his name earlier being sick and Marquel Mederos fighting a week later after not being able to do all the things, not being who he is. Andreas Gustafsson had somewhat of a weight cut. That fight last week was a catch weight, not a full-blown 170 cut. But Andreas was water loading, doing all the things, heading down that path. Then he was told, hey, Trevin Giles can't fight, so he stopped. You have all the stress of all of that. The UFC said, stick around, we'll figure something out for you. Now here he is. Andreas doesn't strike me as the type of guy where the stress is going to bother him, but that is sort of some wear and tear on your body. The reality is that Khaos Williams is an established UFC guy. He's got good striking. He's got good pressure. He's got good experience. And while he did not look very good in his last fight, and he was headhunting, he should be the better fighter in this matchup. Being the better fighter isn't always enough, though, because Andreas Gustafsson could just not be as good of a fighter, but still move forward, land clean, get some takedowns.
Oh, relentless retard.
In his and Jacob's words. I am going to pick Khaos only because insanely low confidence, not betting on it. This is where I'm going. I hate the whole counting picks thing. I hate it. Because it's bullshit. There are levels to picks. There's confidence levels in picks. Me saying I think Khaos wins this because of these circumstances, but not confident enough to bet, is not the same as me saying this person wins when we get to Azamat Mirzakhanov. This person wins and I'm positive. Those are not the same statements, and they shouldn't be measured equally. I'm going to pick Khaos. I don't trust him. I'm not betting on him. Andreas Gustafsson is the exact type of person that could just move forward, beat the shit out of him, like Gabriel Bonfim did. I'm going to pick Khaos. I don't love the circumstances for Andreas, a half a weight cut, moving, all that crap. Don't love it. Picking Khaos. Dude, that shit matters. I'm going to do a bad take with Josh and ask him if it matters. I'll let him tell you.
Being a retard? He would know, wouldn't he?
Who do you think wins this fight, Jacob?
Someone said in all caps, Angelo at the buffet is a relentless retard.
Oh. Dude, you send me to a Chinese buffet, they're going to call the police.
Oh, my God.
They're going to call the police.
What are those things called with the cream cheese? I've actually learned about those. In
Crab Rangoons? Woo!
I think those might be it.
Yeah, it's it. Those are unbelievable. Oh, man. Next time I go to every time I go to New York City, I go to my hotel room. I usually fly in on a Monday or a Tuesday. The meetings are the next day. I get to the hotel room. My man. I get to the hotel room.
Got double steak and just picked out all the steak.
Steak what? What do you mean steak?
Steak. You don't
That's
know
not
what fucking
Chinese
steak
food.
is?
That's hibachi. That's not Chinese food. That's Japanese food.
It's Japanese. It's Asian.
It's the Chinese and Japanese are two different things. I go to the hotel.
Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look at these. Remember that?
No, I don't. I grew up in an area that had all sorts of culture, so we didn't make fun of them. Jacob.
Then, it's so funny that we get to another person of color and you're like, I'm picking them, but you can't trust them. You can't trust them.
I didn't say I can't trust them. Did I? It's not that you can't trust him. Andreas is very good, and this is a full fight camp. It would be different. Here, let me finish
You
my
have a black man
guy.
versus a retard. And you hate.
Retard strength is like a thing that people talk about, and they have monster dicks. I'll never forget, my buddy works in an ER, doctor, and he's the one who introduced me and my wife. And he said this guy came in on tried to get rid of himself, and then they like took care of it, whatever. And he was like, the dick on this dude. It's like, what are you doing? Look at this thing. What are you doing?
I worked at a restaurant with a gentleman that had some sort of disabilities. It seemed like he probably had the mental capacity of, I would say maybe like a 10, 12-year-old or something, but he was like a late 20s. I mean, he was 6'3", 240 pounds. Nice kid, right? I worked, I was like the supervisor manager, so he would always ask me to leave, and he didn't drive, so he'd be like, Jakey, can I call my parents and go home?
He can call you Jakey, and I can't?
I guess you're both retards, so, I mean, if that's something you want to be a part of. But he'd be like, can I call my... Anyway, great guy. He just sat back there and washed the dishes and stuff, but there was one day, and I didn't see it, but a coworker said that that he left the door open one time when he was peeing, and he said, hey, Jacob...
He showed it to you? Or you saw it?
I did not see it. He was telling the story. He said, Jacob, that thing was fucking...
See? There you go.
Where are we at? What are we doing?
I was about to tell you that when I get to New York, I go to the hotel room. I immediately lower the AC to 62, get in my underwear, and I Uber Eats a boneless spare rib combo platter, an extra egg roll, and a thing of crab rangoons. But go ahead. You tell me who you think's going to win this fight.
I like Khaos in this fight. I mean, he should be able to withstand the craziness of Andreas. Obviously, I was Andreas last week versus Trevin, but that's because of the lack of power, the lack of finishing ability from Giles in that fight. So, yeah, he's going to have the jab, but Andreas doesn't hang out in that boxing range. He just gets in your face. What I do worry about Khaos is he's not a guy that brings his feet with his striking. I mean, he just kind of lunges over that front leg into big, like Angelo said, the head hunting, the big powerful shots, the big hooking shots. And if Andreas is able to time some takedowns, maybe he can get Khaos to the ground. But even in that last fight when he's getting taken down, Khaos knows how to get back to his feet. He actually is pretty good with the sense of urgency to get back to his feet. And Andreas is not a bomb fiend. He doesn't have the crazy submission threats. He's more of a push you against the fence and TKO you. And Khaos is a big, strong dude that has a sense of urgency of get back to his feet. And against the fence, he doesn't just hang out there. He can dig an underhook. He can get off the fence. So while I was on Andreas last week, Khaos is a little bit different. He's going to have the power on those entries. He sits there and he will wait for you to close that distance so he can land those big shots. And even Andreas is able to get those takedowns, I think Khaos is able to get back to the feet. So I like Khaos to win this fight. And unless he's like getting a little bit too crazy and getting taken down, but I don't think Andreas is going to have the control. I just don't think he's going to have the control. Khaos is going to be back to the feet and land some bigger shots. So unless he just marabs his way, like fucking 40 takedown attempts or something crazy, I just don't see him winning this fight. I like Khaos, and I'm not afraid to say
it. There we go. Yeah, Khaos he's the better fighter. Is he as well rounded? Maybe not. And he's the better striker, and he has.
Wait, hold on. You're saying Khaos might not be the more well-rounded fighter?
That's what I was gonna say. I didn't word well-rounded enough because Andreas can win two different ways. He can grapple and he has raw power. But Khaos is the better fighter in each one of those individual categories. He has power, fine, but he doesn't have the ability to shoot the takedown and get a submission. So Andreas technically has more ways to win, but Khaos is just better than Andreas in each sort of component there as an MMA fighter.
You're talking out both sides of your neck.
No, because Andreas is more dangerous is where I'm going. Well, Khaos is known for his power. Andreas is more dangerous. I'm going to pick Chaos.
So
Chaos
stupid.
is
It took him a round and a half of strikes to finish the guy in the last fight, where he was just manhandling him against the
Contender
fucking
Series.
fence.
Contender Series is nerve-wracking. This is a full-size cage, too, which also works for Chaos and not on
His real name isn't Chaos. It's Kalen.
Who thought it was? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Also, Patchy's real name isn't Patchy. I had to ask Josh. It's
I just realized as I'm doing research that he's not Brazilian. I thought he was Brazilian.
Andreas Gustafsson. Poha. $8,700 in DraftKings Fantasy for Khaos Williams. If you think he can get busy and finish Andreas, that's worth it. The problem is he's not going to offensively wrestle. So you're not going to get the 5 points for a takedown. You're not going to get the control time. It's going to be volume. If there's a finish, he's worth it. If there's not a finish, Khaos Williams might win this fight very clearly, but still only score 85 points, 65 points, something crazy like that. If you do want to unlock every single pick bet tool, if you want to see what the artificial intelligence has to say, if you want to check out the fight simulator, every single thing that we offer is available right now at WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. It's $10. You unlock all of it, not only for this card, but UFC Atlanta next week, UFC Baku, and UFC 317 on the other side. WeWantPicks.com.